Hi, Chef Tim Franks with Groen CapKold. I want to show you our water jet. This is our combo unit. It is a daytime chiller and usually a nighttime sous vide. Let's look at our controls to start, and then we'll look at the whole unit. So first off, we've got an on and off switch. I want to make sure that comes on. It's going to go through a little startup, give it about a couple seconds. And if you listen in the background, every time we turn this on, the drain is going to close automatically. And so it knows that last night when you cleaned it, you left the drain open. So by just turning it on, the drain has closed. We also have the emergency stop. And so, if the power is out and you see that light, it's stopped. The light's gone here. So out and on. And at this moment, if you can see the controls, we're going to go through this setup here. The menu button is a preset, and it's going to help us with our chill and our heat only buttons. And if we look along the bottom here, we have chill, heat only, cook to time, cook to probe, and then a manual drain. And so just to repeat one more time, when I press the drain button, it's a very large 4-inch drain valve. So you can hear it opening, and it might take 10 seconds or so to actually open and close, but give it some time. So at this point, we've got chill, heat only, cook to time, cook to probe, and drain. But up at the top are really our presets. Menu, which helps us go through the menu, and then up and down to set our numbers, and then enter. And then we also can just clear our program. So above here, we're not going to do too much except for these arrows in the future, just setting numbers. So let's look at the first one, menu. So I go in here, menu gives me two choices, chill setup and or retherm setup. And as I hit this arrow button, I'm only going to two choices, chill or heat retherm. So at this point, if we hit enter, so it's menu, arrow, enter, it's asking me for temperature, and it's Fahrenheit or Celsius at this point. I'm doing it just to show you, but we're going to leave it in Fahrenheit. We're going to hit enter one more time, and now it's going to ask us what is our chilling temperature, and the lowest temperature we can go to is 34 degrees, so that's our chilling temperature. We're going to leave it at 34 degrees for everything, every product, all day long. We're going to hit menu again, enter, and then our chill button is set. Let's go look at the heat only or retherm. Hit that menu button again, and it says chill. Let's hit the arrow. It went to retherm. Now I'm going to hit enter. It's going to ask me temperature. I'm going to hit enter again, so it was Fahrenheit. It's at 180. We can make this whatever temperature you want it to be for reheating. So this is heating only. All right, so I'm going to set that for 185 degrees. I'm going to hit enter, and it comes back to Water Jet by Groen. So our chill button is set at 34 degrees, the lowest setting, and our heat button is set at 185. That could be 165, 185, it's your choice. So moving on, this is our normal cooking button. So, let's talk about the operation. In the daytime, when you're chilling product, say mac and cheese or soup, you're just going to hit chill. It's going to close drain, it's going to fill up, it's going to get cold, and it's going to rotate. But at night, we're going to add baskets. And at that point, we're going to put sous vide product in here. So before we do that, let's see the controls. So cook to time, it's pretty easy. It's going to ask you the same questions. So let's hit cook to time, and it says Fahrenheit or Celsius. I'm going to leave it in Fahrenheit. And then we're entering through. So it has two temperatures. One is soak. This could be thaw, say 70 degrees to 40 degrees in under 2 hours, or you can raise this temperature to have a cooking temperature and have two-stage cooking. So it's actually set at 140, and maybe you have a higher cooking temperature, say 165 or 175. But that first temperature could be thaw, it could be cold, or it could be hot. Totally your choice and your recipe. So we're going to leave it at 145 and hit enter. And so that soak time, how long do you want to do that? Well, if it was at 40 or 41 degrees, I would set this for 1 to 2 hours. But this is actually in minutes. So if we're going to set this, it's going to be 1 hour is going to be 60 minutes, or 2 hours is going to be 120 minutes. And then totally, this will go up to 12 hours. And so it's all going to be in minutes. And you'll find out when we do cook to probe why it's in minutes. And so let's go ahead and take this down. It's at 140 degrees. And how long do we want to cook at that? Well, it's kind of just a pre-cook, so I'm just going to take it down to like 10 minutes. There we go. I'm going to hit enter again. And so now it's the actual time, but now what temperature do we want to cook at? So remember, this is cook to time, so I want to cook at a higher temperature than that 140. So I'm probably going to cook up something in the 180 range or something like that. So just for demonstration purposes, let's just make it 180. You're going to hit enter. And then at 180 minutes, at 180 degrees, how long do I want to cook at that second temperature, that higher temperature? Right now it's got 320 minutes, and that's a great temperature. If I change it, it might just, we'll just change it with the number to, 325 minutes. And hit enter. And then chilling temperature, we always want to keep this chilling temperature at the lowest possible. So I hit the arrow till it bottoms out, and it's going to bottom out at 34 degrees. Now, when I hit this button one more time, it actually starts. And so we're going to be filling, and actually the product's going to go in first, and we're going to fill around it in the cooking mode. Now, to stop this mode, say it's cooked and it's chilled, you come back in the morning and it's still chilling, you actually have to hit the exact same button to stop it. So if I hit the chill button or the heat button or the cook to probe button, nothing's going to happen, and that's okay to do. But when I hit the cook to time button, it stops. And so it doesn't let you mess up, but it wants you to turn off the cycle that's started. So you can hit all the buttons till it turns off, or just hit the right one, cook to time. So last button before we really look at the whole device is cook to probe. And so in the back here, there is a meat probe that's going to come out and go into the proteins, and we'll show you how to do that in a minute. So now let's just hit the cook to probe button, and Fahrenheit or Celsius, I'm just going to leave it in Fahrenheit. And at that point, I'm going to hit enter. Temperature again, so soak time or first cooking cycle, it's at 41 degrees. I'm just going to take it down to 40. And then at that point, hit enter. And it's at 0 minutes. Really, at this point, I don't think they wanted to thaw, but I'm going to go ahead and thaw it for a full hour. So the last time we did this, it was a cooking temperature. This is actually a thawing temperature. So 40 degrees for about an hour or 2 hours is pretty common. We'll just take it down to 120. How's that? So now, say this is a frozen turkey breast, and we want to put it in here and let it sit at 40 degrees and thaw out for 2 hours. Hit enter. And now, at that point, the water temperature can be whatever you want it to be. I'm going to take it up to a higher temperature. We'll go to 165. I'm going to hit enter. And then probe temperature. So this is key. The probe temperature is the internal temperature of the product. So the probe temperature usually needs to be 1 or 2 degrees lower than the actual water temperature. I'm actually going to recommend 5 as a standard, but if you want something very critical and you're worried about that temperature, you can go a little closer to 2 degrees. But recommendation is 5 degrees lower than the cooking temperature that you have. And that will give you a very accurate reading on a very large roast or average size protein. Now, once we set that probe temperature, it's going to ask you how long. Now, this is why it's in minutes. If this is a protein that's really critical at rare and you cook it at, say, 130, and you don't want to go past that, you really don't want to leave it when it hits 130 on the probe very long. So it's at 25 minutes. I actually might take this down to a lower temperature and cook it for a less amount of time, like 5 minutes. So cook to probe is usually timed out between 5 minutes and 30 minutes and no longer. That's the internal temperature of the protein. So when it gets there, you just give it a few more minutes and then it's going to switch to chill. Now, Cook the Probe is also a great way to test out products. So if you're stabbing your proteins, the health department sometimes doesn't want you to use that protein, so you have to either use it for employee meal or discard. I like to practice with the probe cooking 3 or 4 times. When I get my times down, then I cook to time only and I don't use the probe. So cooking with the probe is a great way to get your recipes locked in, so you don't have to use it all the time. You can go back to the time that you figured out and just look at your recipes and repeat, and you can get away from using the probe. But it's great to experiment and use 3 or 4 times to get that recipe locked in. So once again, all I have to do is hit enter, and it's going to chill to 34 degrees, the lowest temperature, and we're starting. And hit that same button to stop. Now remember, this is our combo unit. So in the daytime, we're going to set this to chill. It's going to fill up, it's going to go to 34 degrees and rotate the water and chill our bags of product. But also at night, or when you choose to, it's a sous vide cooker. Now the great thing about being a sous vide cooker, we're going to place our proteins in a basket one at a time. So we're not going to do a lot of lifting. So we're going to have our basket with our top folded under, and we're going to set our other basket right on top like this. So primarily we're going to put in 4 to 6 proteins depending on size. We're going to put in more proteins, and before we add our next basket, we're just going to lower it a bit, and we'll add another basket and some more protein. So you're not going to hurt your back. You're going to continuously put in product by product. Now after we cook and chill, say it's going to be cooking all night, cooking till midnight and then chilling till morning. In the morning you're going to come in, it's full of water. We're going to do that same activity. We're going to turn it off, hit drain, and we're going to raise our product up. And then at this point we can remove our product into baskets, place these to the side. They do open up, take out the rest of the product, and they do fit right into themselves. And then they sit off to the side. So this is your standard operating procedure for baskets in and out of the water jet. Now let's go ahead and turn it on and get the water in there. But before you turn it on, you want to make sure that the lift is at the lowest setting. Otherwise it's going to splash up and over the counter. So the water's going to come out and it's going to hit our deflector plate, or I like to call Mickey Mouse ears. And at that point, when we look down inside, before we turn it on, we really want to see it in this position. The deflector plate or the Mickey Mouse ears, you want to see these pointed to the outside edges, not the corners. This will give it a better circulation. So as we turn this on, it's going to start to fill from the side, but when there's enough water, our 4-inch almost fire hose is going to turn on. And this is going to be a lot of water, enough to stir our bags in the product in our chiller. Now we've got our water jet full, and I just wanted to tell you about the valve on the back side. The water flow is coming from the pump motor, and it's coming through a 4-inch valve straight through the center. If we want to reduce that speed, we close this right here from fully open to partially closed. It will not close all the way. It's going to give us about 80% on the top. Now it's going to divert down to 20% on top. So if we have a delicate product and we don't want to dent that product with that water force, we close this valve and it'll make it more delicate so you can do certain products without them being destroyed by the turbulence. And at that point, we do have our meat probe that hangs in back. And I want to show you the best way to put the meat probe through the lid. We take it underneath, and there's a space back here so the wire does not get pinched. And their probe wire goes right through there. We're going to take this to the center product, and we're going to put this through sous vide tape into the product, and then we're going to submerge it and make sure that that product is not floating to the top. That's our meat probe, and once again, that's only used 3 or 4 times until your recipe is locked in. Normally cook the time, you don't have to use the probe, but it's a nice way to figure out your recipes. Let's talk about maintenance, or if you've lost something inside of the water jet. If there's something that goes below this screen, we really don't want to stand on those items down below. The square in the bottom is the refrigeration and that refrigeration evaporator is pretty delicate. So if you do have to get down in here, the best thing to do is take off our center bolt, remove our deflector plate or our Mickey Mouse ears, make sure you put it back just like you see it, with the ends going to the sides. It gives better circulation. Set that to the side, but just take one of these screens, move it on top of the other screen, and stand on that, and then use a wet dry vac or your hands to get that product out. Remember, we can cook up to 500 pounds in here, so this basket lift can take that weight, but the products, the items down below cannot. So don't stand on the inner pipes or on the refrigeration. Just remove the screen, stand on that, get down in there with the wet dry vac and get out whatever fell in there. Place that screen back. Make sure you tighten down this bolt and put that deflector plate just like you see it, so the Mickey Mouse ears are facing the sides, not the corners, and that helps with the circulation. Otherwise, you just want to use standard 3 compartment sink soaps. Run it around the sides with the drain open, give it a good hose, and rinse it all out. Don't use any harsh chemicals. Maybe once a month, if your water is bad, you can use a delimer. And at that point, usually it's just a light rub on the side and 2 rinses afterward. That's about it. This is a water jet.